purpose of extending that to Matthew Patterson. And then we'll wrap up. We may have to push the discussion of future agenda to email, but we'll
Sounds good.
see what we can do.
Perfect.
So with that, public comment, anyone?
No, not really. I'd just be very excited to have best buddies in all of the schools, not just a few of them.
Yeah.
Well,
Great.
that's the goal.
Sounds good.
So what we have here, good evening, Jenna Raga, Director of PPS, joined by my colleague Alex Janowski, Assistant Director. We have what is Best Buddies, and so as we know, we do have Best Buddies established in both the middle and the high school, and we are looking to establish it at the elementary level, where it is designed to promote social inclusion and reduce isolation for students with intellectual and developmental disabilities. The goals are meaningful and inclusive friendships, empathy, acceptance, and promoting social emotional learning, and just creating a welcoming school environment.
So again, just some facts about like what we kind of currently have in place. Hi, Jackie, how are you?
We just
What we currently have in place here in Carmel. So again, as Jen has already said, we do have 2 established chapters at the secondary level, both at George Fisher and Carmel High School. In last spring, in 2025, the school district hosted the first Best Buddies Friendship Walk fundraiser at George Fisher Middle School, which was supported by SEPTO. We are having another one coming up in a couple weeks. I think it's May 2nd.
May 2nd.
Saturday, May 2nd.
1 to
1 to 4 p.m. So we're excited for that. And again, donations from the Friendship Walk directly support local Best Buddy initiatives, funding critical programs such as inclusive employment services, inclusive living opportunities, and family and advocacy support initiatives.
So here are our current elementary buddy programs. They're pilots. We have Kent Elementary, KES, houses a staff-led PACE friendship program. KP operates a buddy mentor program, and that was created by the PBIS program with mentoring between older and younger grades for SEL activities. And then Matthew Patterson has developed a robust school year roadmap based on the Best Buddies mission. So the goal is to align all 3.
Yes.
So some of the benefits of pursuing Best Buddy chapter, like official Best Buddy chapters for KP and Matthew Patterson. Sustainability, the official chapters as opposed to, again, like Kent Elementary School has right now, the unofficial program that the PACE program and teachers kind of head off and spearhead. Having the official chapters allows each elementary school to receive structured toolkits, frameworks, administrative support from regional leadership. There is regional alignment that is, in place by the Best Buddies of the Hudson Valley, and then unified culture, right? Participating in district-wide events such as the Friendship Walk and things of that nature.
And a little anecdote, I had the opportunity last year, as it was the my first year here, but as well as the first Buddy Walk, Friendship Walk, I should say, and it was great because I was present when the leadership from the Best Buddies program came, and they did their kickoff, and they did kind of like the baton toss, and really were very, very supportive in just shining a light on the program and building excitement and supporting the school as well as the students. So how it works, we have regular activities, reading together, crafts, recess, lunch buddies, structured buddy pairing based on the age, the grade, and the interest, and it's supervised by teachers, often with the help of student leaders, and that's where the return is, I think. Alex and I had the opportunity to go to one of the dances in March, and what a highlight!
Mm-hmm.
What an amazing experience! There was the biggest turnout of Best Buddies.
Yeah.
So they encourage weekly or bi-weekly meetups and school-wide inclusion events. There we go.
So again, just like kind of a very nice framework roadmap of what to expect when you join Best Buddies. Initially, you would attend, like as a student, right, an interest meeting. You would then submit a membership application if it is something you continue to be interested in. Then there are different mix and mingle type group events You get matched in a buddy pairing, and then you work with your buddy, and you get to, kind of support them and have fun in those different capacities and events.
So here's just a sample calendar for the elementary. Obviously, September, an introduction to staff and teachers. October, they review applications. November would be their first monthly meeting. January, March, 2nd, 3rd. And then the May is the end year celebration, and that's where we also begin the application process. And then June is current buddies meet with future buddies. So it just continues to roll into the following year.
So for student preparation, there's a training foundation. So all student buddies would undergo a 7-step training outline that covers the following things. So welcoming and purpose, kind of defining what your role is as a helper, as a friend, as a role model. Understanding disabilities, so covering kind of physical, communication, learning, sensory differences that other students might have. Again, having respect and empathy, so utilizing almost like a walk in their shoes, role-playing activities. Again, best buddy role basics, learning do's and don'ts. Communication tips, mastering both verbal and nonverbal communication tools. Inclusion in action, right? So brainstorming ways to be able to modify certain things to be inclusive of your buddy. And then again, the buddy pledge to have a formal commitment to kindness and support. And then there is a curriculum aspect to it as well, in which disability awareness should be integrated into like the first 30 days of the building-wide school plans.
So required resources, obviously personnel. We need each building to have a lead advisor to manage the chapter, and they must include additional staff to lend support for the student IEPs and support student participation. And we saw that firsthand at the dance in March. There were CISAs, there were TAs, there were teachers. It was a beautiful mix, but it was a relatively big lift. Financial, stipends for faculty advisors, additional pay for support staff working outside of contractual hours, and then the student leaders, recruiting 4th grade buddies into each building to pair with younger students.
So the next steps in order to create these official chapters at the elementary level would be to apply for them through the Best Buddies International Organization. We have the contact information to who to reach out to for that from our colleagues at the middle and high school. And then ensuring uniformed activities across the building. So again, monthly themes, right? Gratitude, kindness, collaborative, things like that. And again, as we already said, but the Best Buddy Friendship Walk is Saturday, May 2nd, so in about 2 weeks, or a week and a half, from 1 to 4 at George Fisher.
Just making sure I have that in my calendar. I had a note, but I want to make sure I get reminded.
Yeah.
And so the next 2 slides were just resources, and I believe Dr. Petty had shared those with you. If she didn't, we will certainly put them your way. They're just additional resources about Best Buddies. There's some great online features with little, welcome videos and so forth. A lot of their products or toolkit, they're promotional and they're exciting, and the people that come in to pitch them have that flavor to really, move people. So, you have any questions for us?
So first, to state the obvious, this is exactly what we want to happen.
Mhm.
Now the question is, what does the transition from what we have now, where we have ad hoc programs at 2 buildings and really nothing at the 3rd building yet? What's the transition from now to this?
So, I think the first step really is, making sure that, I think in our conversations with each of the 3 elementary school buildings, they, definitely are all on board with bringing these official chapters there. So now the next step would be making sure that at each building we have that, one designated teacher to kind of run that. So kind of making sure that we get that off the ground, and then from there we can then start applying for, the official chapters.
Yeah, we have
through
a couple of
organization.
contacts in the Hudson Valley area for Best Buddies. Kate Nitty Desmond and Erica Gaines
Yeah.
Harold,
Mhm.
who we have the contact with through Maureen Lebanowski, and I think that would be one of the first acts is to get our our administration, which is definitely on board, but the leadership there, the school leadership there, the teacher leadership, I should say, on board to figure out who's going to take the reins on that, and meet with those representatives from the organization, the local.
So once we do reach out to the local organization, we put our application, what do we expect is the turnaround for that? I guess I'll just put my cards on the table. If we wanted this live in all 3 buildings in September, what would it take to make that happen?
That is a good question. Well, I think we have to consider obviously the financials, the personnel, and the planning. I think it would require planning now to meet with these respective folks from the Hudson Valley chapter to give us a framework of how we would do that and to see if it is a realistic goal to do it in September. I think it is if we have their partnership and we have the support, because they're running in isolation right now. So I think it would probably be a lot easier to have something that is congruent and consistent.
Yeah, I mean, given that if we're starting this at a building that hasn't had in the past, we have to train anyway. Obviously, it would be better to do that using the proper materials for where we want to end up.
Yeah. I felt, as I mentioned, drawing from, I'd gone to the onboarding, and my own personal children were a part of it in the school district that we live in, but I was not. I was familiar with it, but I felt like as somebody walking in, they're successful because they're multiplying, and it just the toolkit that they offered was accessible and usable, and I think, for lack of a better word, maybe easy to implement because it's tried and true. So I think that's the rub and the sell point for us. So I think if we're able to tap into the teaching staff that is currently doing it at each of the schools, I think we'll have a pretty good level of success. I know that the staff had reached out during the year to, continue to try and move this and just collaborate. So there's a desire.
So do you think when we meet, not the next meeting, but so in 4 weeks, when this committee meets again, can we have a timeline and sort of a yes, no, we think we're on target for September?
Sure. Yeah, I think, we can definitely reach out to those contacts at the Best Buddies organization to see, again, like from the time the application goes in, like what is the turnaround time, right? Like how quickly can that be implemented? So can it be September? Can it be sooner, right? Like what that timeline looks like. And then again, I think it really is just making sure that we have that teacher leadership, which is kind of that integral piece at each building.
By sooner than September, you mean this year?
I just mean, like, is it realistic, right? So, like, are they
In
saying
September.
for September? Yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot of work to do between
So
here
I
and
think
September.
that
as well.
there's an important budgetary piece here. If we're looking for 3 step-in positions that we were talking about last week.
Yeah.
I think we have to have that conversation.
No, a question which I have, and we'll have to get this answer from the business office. These are or maybe from you guys. These are stipend right now at the middle school and the high school. These are stipended.
That's what they said.
Right now, the corresponding local ad hoc programs at 2 of the schools are stipended. So
Are
the
they?
question, yeah,
What is
well,
he
someone's
have? He
got to
does
be the
not
staff
have-
advisor. If
But
they're
is
running
it
it.
just an
So,
overtime position or is it?
so again,
Well, that's
no
a
elementary school has
No,
an
but-
official Best
but this
Buddies
VP
program.
Buddy mentor program, you're telling me that exists right now? My son's in that school. I've never heard this before.
That is the information that Principal Fino shared with us. I don't know if it's exclusive to special education students or if it's a building wide.
Well-
No, I know.
I've never heard like that.
But I'm saying,
This is
or
like
if
the
it's more
first
of a
I've ever heard
building
this.
wide
Well,
position. We can get more information.
that is important because
Yeah.
I had understood that it was up at 2 buildings. It sounds like it may be 1. In fact,
Yeah,
go to it,
the
obviously
only,
changed.
the only buddy program is at Kent Elementary, and I think honestly, Septo finances a lot of it. I know Marie does like the after the end of year thing. There's the breakfast and everything. So this is shocker to hear that KP's having one, because I have no idea what that is, who's paying for that, and my son has never once heard of this or been invited to this, so.
Mhm.
But if that were the case, then you would already have positions in place. This shouldn't be a financial lift. If what this is saying is true, it should be already there. You should have staff already doing this, right?
I think it
It
depends
is,
on.
but I think it's, so again, from the information that, we got when we kind of reached out for further information regarding this, was that at least the program that's at Kent Primary, again, not Best Buddies, right, is through their PBIS team. So I think
What's a PD? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
So it's
Uh,
more like
positive
school
behavioral
psychologists,
intervention
Yes,
support.
yes, yes.
so, and again,
Yeah.
it's kind of like that's the building level
It's like
supports.
intermediation,
So
like
I would assume, I don't want to make an
What's it
assumption,
called?
but
Is it called something? I'm sorry, this is so small.
I know.
Buddy mentor program.
Mentor.
I apologize about having to step out and take the phone call, but financially, so we're just talking about.
Three stipends.
I'm sorry?
3 stipends.
Yeah, so
Two of
stipends,
which may already exist, we don't know.
so from a budgetary perspective, we're not talking a lot of money.
No, we're not, but we
Like
are
this.
talking about 3 new stipends that we would want to put into this budget because we want this program to happen.
Well, if there's news, there has to be an MOA for the new stipends.
No, we already have the position in the district.
There,
The high school and the middle school have this stipend.
right, but is it in the contract for the elementary school?
Well, that's
Because
I have no
Kess
idea.
has to, because Kess is like I know it's not called the Best Buddy program, but
Mhm.
they have staff that are putting a lot of time into that, and I
Right.
can't imagine they're doing it
But
for free. So
if-
it's got to be there for at least one of the schools. And then my issue is we don't have equality then throughout the 3 schools.
So,
That's
Well,
right.
that's been,
so we don't really know what's officially in each school.
Well, we're
That's-
just
We do.
presenting.
Yeah,
We're
that's-
just
we
presenting.
Well,
got
so,
the
right,
right
and
one.
so again,
Yeah, you're hearing a difference of
Yeah.
information.
So the middle school and the high school Best Buddy program, lock, stock, and barrel. They follow the,
Right.
the
Right.
and then at the 3 elementaries, they do some
So
sort of.
I'm looking at this from the perspective of what the board can do.
Yes.
And from the perspective of what the board can do,
Mhm.
if there are not 3 stipended positions, one of which at each school,
Mhm.
that's something that the board can work towards supporting. But then if they're not, if those positions are not in the contract, there might be positions for the middle school in the contract, and I just don't know this answer, and the high school in the contract. But if there are not currently positions at the elementary schools, then an MLA would have to be
Right,
undertaken.
so this,
And that takes a little bit of time, not an inordinate amount of time, but also the amount of money for that, quite honestly, is pennies.
right, so given that we, in the best case, this is already in contract and it's stipended already at 2 buildings, we need to fund a 3rd,
Mhm.
which in principle we've been asking for a very long time, so I would expect it's already in the budget. That might be a little optimistic of me, but I'm gonna start there. That's my opening bit. We need to know how this is under what contract provision this is being managed right now at the elementary schools and at the middle and high school. And we need to know how this is being stipended at each
And
of
it's
those.
not just stipends, so if this is an actual official Carmel Central School District club, which is, would it be if we got them in, there's gonna be money in the budget for the clubs. I don't know if this is you know,
Clubs aren't necessarily going to get money from the district. They'll,
they can fundraise, they can do
Right.
things right
Oh,
now. But
yeah,
I'm just
exactly.
saying that I don't know if this club does or this club needs some financial assistance. I think we need a little bit more information because
Mhm.
we as a board need to know how to do that.
So what we
Right.
have to find out, again, our big thing is, what can we do to support the needs of the students from the board perspective? It sounds like we have to find out contractually, does there exist anything in the contract? If it's already in the contract, that hurdle is cleared. If it's not in the contract, then an MOA, memorandum of agreement, has to be written, and you've got significant support from at least 3 members of the board, if I'm right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure we will
On,
have no
on that,
problem.
I'm pretty confident
Yes.
there would be at least one other member of the 4 remaining that would be supportive of that. Aside from that, I think that's what we need to check out now. I hate to be the one to say, time is of the essence. I'm just looking at the time, there's the reception.
Yeah, we have 4
Yes,
minutes
yes.
left. So cutting
That
to
time is
the,
of the essence.
yes, so cutting to the chase.
Yeah.
Since we would very much like to see this for September, I think I speak for the committee at least. When we meet again in 4 weeks, can we have answers specifically on how this is both contractually managed and stipended today at all 3 levels? And what we need to, if there's anything we need to change, budget, negotiate, or anything else to get this on track for September. Luckily, that's well within the purview of PBS, and I trust you guys to bring us the information we need.
So just to confirm, we're looking at contractually managed at all 3 schools, or
Yeah, or at
and
least
then
what's there now and what, if
Like
what's
what we
there
would
now
need.
would meet what we need.
Yeah.
change in budget for
Might be numbers
September,
from SEPTO,
the-
because I know SEPTO's financing the KISS side of it.
timeline, yes or no
Yeah.
for
But when you
September.
say financing, what do you mean by financing?
We do an end of the year Best Buddies celebration, which is part SEPTO and part KEPTO.
Yeah, so when,
So that
Jody,
would probably,
But
that,
And they go to like a bounce thing, they bring a
yeah,
bounce
so
house
they
in,
do,
it's a
so
whole
they
big
go
thing.
on like, end of the year trip, so they went to Bounce and really, I can't speak to KP, but at CAS, Miss Mastro Giovanni, who, runs PACE, she's the teacher of PACE, she's the one that is our, teacher go-to
Mr. Ward, I
at
think,
CAS,
too.
and Mr. Ward.
yeah, so,
And do the buddies go too?
Yes,
Yeah,
So like
that's
my
the whole-
son, when he was there last year, he got to go, and they get to go to like the bounce.
But it's not,
place,
it's
and
not a
so-
school thing, it's a PTO thing.
on school time, yeah.
yeah, like, much like a,
On school time?
during the school
Like
day,
it's a school day, yeah, it's like a
So-
field trip.
Financed by the PTO?
they can do that.
I mean,
don't know about
ideally
during
it would come out of
education
the
time.
field trip budget, but
Oh,
that's
yeah,
been
you
a,
take a field
shall we
trip.
say politely, a thorn in
You
our
can't take a
side.
field trip.
I beg pardon?
PTO finances
Ideally,
a
it
lot
would come out of
field
the,
trips.
the field trip budget, but we've had many discussions in the field trip budget.
Yeah, but I think all PTOs have some level of financing for a lot of field trips.
But some level.
Some
Sounds
level,
like
yeah, but
you're-
that's this buddy program, no other PTO other than SEPTO is gonna really have any input in, like, wanting to do that. It's,
But if it's, I mean, it's not just special education students, that's the whole point.
Right,
well,
well,
the big
it-
buddy's not, but.
my understanding is that the other PTAs have been asked, PTOs have been asked in the past, I'm
I
not
think we have to,
set
I
for it.
think we need to get a lot.
Yeah,
more
so,
Yeah, if I
With
could just
this-
restate the 5
Yes.
things that I've
Yeah.
heard from everybody. So contractually managed at all 3 elementaries, George Fisher and the high school. What change or budget for September, a roadmap of rollout, yes or no for September, and then additional positions, whether it's 3 stipend positions in the contract.
yeah, and I'm gonna just be overly pedantic, because I am, and that way we all come back with, he's like, expecting the same thing. For each of those 2 areas, the contract question and the stipend question, please let us know what's there now at
Yes.
high school, middle school, and for the
3
ad hoc programs at
elementaries.
the
Yep.
elementaries. And then let us know what needs to be there to meet the requirements of the
Absolutely.
official.
And I mean, I'm gonna step out a little further, that if our George Fisher Middle School students that are in Best Buddies and our Carmel High School students that are in Best Buddies are doing field trips with Best Buddies, I'd like to know how those are being financed.
No, I mean, I would expect that the district would treat this, and maybe we have the key to this all, which is if this is in fact being handled by the PBIS team today,
Mhm.
that may be something that folds into PBIS's purview. I don't know. And that might open the door to making this an officially funded activity. I don't know.
I know from when I was speaking with Maureen Lebanowski at the dance, I was, giving her a little shakedown. I was like, how did you make this happen? What, then the Knights of Columbus, it was a donation.
Yeah.
They had a 15-year-old DJ.
Yes, he was.
Which
This was a
great.
middle school dance?
This was
This
high
was
school. Well,
Hi-
high
I think it
school.
was high school.
Yeah, it was high school.
It was the high school Best Buddies had a dance. So again, yeah, Knights of Columbus was donated. The DJ, I think, donated. I think they paid
before
him.
he-
I think
or-
they
yeah, it was
maybe.
a
I don't know,
discounted
but
rate. He was a kid.
like a 15-year-old DJ.
He did a great job.
He was wonderful.
A lot of it was, there was a,
Yeah. There was like a one of those digital photo booths that
Where
was
did they have
donated
at
at the
the
Knights
Knights
of
of
Columbus.
Columbus.
Oh, they had it
Yeah,
after
yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
and the Knights of Columbus donated their
Correct,
space.
yeah.
So people really came together to make an incredible event.
It was,
Yeah,
it was great.
That's,
Like,
It
I
was
still, I get the
amazing.
chills. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
so, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. I do need to close here. We have a 10 reception for minutes. Does anyone in the public have any last questions, comments? All right, so
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kate.